our side-lying hip abductors. So you can bend your bottom knee up a little bit. That's going to give her some good stabilization here. Where it's not an MLT, I don't need to palpate and, you know, see specifically where the spine is moving. I just want to keep in mind that her back is in that slightly lordotic position, not totally flat, not excessively lordotic. If we're doing the hip abductors as a group, what you're going to do is show the patient the range. So you're going to keep the legs straight, bring her into that neutral position, make sure her hips stay stacked, and I just want you to lift your legs straight up towards the ceiling. Can you perform that motion for me? Very good. What you might have to do is as they get towards end range, they kind of start to flex forward. So just make sure your hip don't touch my hand. So go ahead and lift your leg. Very good. So she didn't go up quite as high, but she maintained that neutral position. So as a group, foot should be parallel with the ground. Go ahead, come up to your end range again. Down just slightly, good. Hold, don't let me move you. And I am pushing straight down towards the floor. Breathe during the contraction. And you can relax down. Integrity of the knee should be checked before pushing through the ankle. With abductors, it is okay. When we get to the adductors, you will never press distal to the knee. You're going to keep your force more proximal. So that's straight abductors. Clinically, you might perform that test. On the practical, I'll just let you know we're not going to do straight abductors. We're either going to do glute med and glute med. So if we are doing glute med, we are going to bias what directions?
Anteriorly to the hips. And
So what does bringing the hips interior do?
gets a little more fibrous than the posterior fibers of the glute medius.
So what actions are we biasing?
Abduction. Or abduction and extension.
Extension and what else are we going to do?
Internal rotation.
For glute med?
External rotation. Oh yeah, because the foot goes up a little bit.
Yeah, so we're going to rotate the foot upwards slightly. That would be externally rotating her femur, and slight anterior with her trunk will help bias the extension component. So for this one, yep, you can hold on to the table as well. I'm going to help bring you into this position. You can turn your foot outwards. Very good. Try and maintain that slight roll forward. Now you're going to lift your foot straight towards the ceiling again. Very good. And down. And then try and keep the rotation of the foot outwards. Hold, don't let me move you. And I am pressing into adduction, slight bias into flexion. There you go. She's stronger here than she was with the other one. You just warmed up now? Obviously I would have the table a little bit lower for the first one. I might have still looked like I was sliding into flexion a little bit. So make sure the table is low enough so that you can get your force in the right direction. And then for glute min, we are going to keep the leg in neutral. The only change we're going to make from the abductor test is my force is then going to come biased into extension, targeting the flexion component with glute med. So we're going to go back into that neutral position, extend the hip, and then you are going to go ahead and lift your leg for me again.
Up.
And then we'll go down slightly, hold, don't let me move you. And she broke a little bit easier with that one there. So as you saw, I have to get my elbow kind of over slightly, so I am pressing back into the extension direction to target the flexion component for glute med. So glute med, you add external rotation, you roll the body forward slightly, pushing down into abduction, slight flexion. Why would I not have her roll this way when I'm doing glute med? Because what?
Her hips can be added, she push it up.
So I'm adding force into extension, so that could also kick on hip flexors, right? So we're just biasing that. But it's also, she has nothing to help stabilize her this way, so her trunk would be like way more under pressure. Whereas this way, we have the knee bent forward, she has her arms in front of her, so it's a little bit easier to move someone into a slightly anterior roll and keep them stabilized than it would be to bring them back this way. Make sense? Any questions with these ones?
For glute med, did you externally rotate the leg as well?
Glute Med, it should be neutral. Everything should be the same as your test for the abductor group, except your line of force changes into slight extension component. Do we want to do hip adductors now too, or do we want to? He's like, no. Okay, we'll do those next.